What's up, everybody? I'm Jesse Showalter, and it's a rainy day outside, and I figured it would be a perfect opportunity to reorganize some of my project and design files. And I figured while I was here, I'd show you how I organize my design projects in hopes that there's somebody out there who's as nerdy as me who finds this kind of organizational stuff as enjoyable as I do. Okay, let's jump right into the computer and I'll show you how I organize these files. I'm just gonna open up a new Finder window and head over to Google Drive. And that's the first thing to note, is I have everything, all projects are either on Dropbox or Google Drive when they are current and active. If they're not active, which means I haven't dealt with the client for over 6 months, I'm gonna pull it off of here and put it onto an external hard drive that I call my archive. That just keeps my current projects clean and I know what's there and I don't have to sift through years and years of work, and it's just a nice thing. So everything is inside of Google Drive. I'll push into my design folder because I have some other stuff there as well, but I'll push into my design folder, and in my design folder you'll see right now I have 6 current clients that I'm working with, and each of those are designated by either a 2 or 3 letter acronym for the client name. So you have like VR Warehouse or UH Manoa or Musicbed. That's something I picked up from the creative agency that I worked for, and it just kind of stuck with me. Internally, you'd be able to reference clients as that acronym, like, hey, did you get the MB stuff? And that's just something that stuck with me. I don't necessarily need it, I just still do it. And it looks really tidy, I think, in the folder structure. So I always do that for a client, and when I click into a client, you'll see I have these 4 folders are always a standard when I'm starting to do business with a new client or a new project. There is a folder for projects, but we start all the way from folder 0, which has to do with client docs, okay? Client documents are things that they will give me before we start any work. If I do a client survey or I do some sort of questionnaire to understand who they are and their brand and their history, if they give me some who we are statements or scrape the website verbiage or any kind of stuff like that, or an NDA that I need to sign, all of those things are in client documents, and I can always reference back to those client documents that kind of cover the client in general. The second folder is my proposal. Sometimes I'll call this proposals and invoices. Sometimes I'll call this business. It's really just any sort of business interactions we have. That means, in this case, I have like a website proposal I made for them, and I can always go back and find that. I also have a competitive set. You'll see, I'm just gonna expand this out. This is something where I haven't really fully started the project yet, but as I was bidding for the project, I did a quick comp set. I use software now for all my invoicing and billing, but occasionally I will download hard copies of those invoices and put them in here as well. And so that is the proposal, invoice, or business folder. The next folder on the list, this number 2 client assets folder, is all about exactly that, client assets. These are things, and the reason these don't go into some sort of project folder is because these are things I might use for the lifetime that I work with the client on multiple projects. That's the hope, right? So these are logos that they gave me, all sorts of different files directly from the client, photos that they gave me. So client assets are purely things that represent the company or the brand, and allow me to go back in and reuse them. So style guides, pattern libraries, logos, photography, video, B-roll, all that kind of stuff goes in to my client assets folder. And then you get to the projects folder. The projects folder is self-explanatory. Each folder inside of here is going to be an individual project that I've done for the client. So, a banner that I did for them or website redesign that I did for them. Once you click into an individual project, you'll usually find some similar things in there in my kind of like structure. One is the only file that I really want to have out are the latest version of the working file. So in this case, it was a Photoshop file, and we created this banner for them, and that was the 3rd version of that banner. So design is iterative, and so what happened to all the previous iterations? Well, we dump those into the archive folder. That way I can go back and reference what was done. If I'm going to create a new version, I'm literally just going to drag this into my archive, and then I'm going to copy it and create a V4 out here and start working on that V4. That is the most current version. So that's how I do that. And then any sort of exports or finals that are kind of exported out of there, you can all find inside the exports folder. So I would usually take all of this, the exports and the most recent working file, and compress that into, you know, like a zipped up file that I could send to them and they could have all of the assets that they need and deliverables. So you can see inside my website redesign, I have like some icons that I did in there, and then I have the site itself, and then I zipped that up and was able to send that off to them so they could deploy their website. The last folder that's not seen here that I usually have with a project, it wasn't needed on this project, but a lot of times I'll put in a fourth folder called training, and the training folder is all about documentation, training videos, things that I will actually make and create so that the client could actually use and understand everything I've made for them. So if it's a website and I built it on some sort of CMS, I'm gonna create a set of custom training videos that they can always relate back to. Maybe the project doesn't require like video training, but I might have some sort of documentation as to how to implement the designs or how to use them or things they might run into and questions they might have. I create all that documentation and place it inside the training folder for their use as well. Well, that's it. That's the way that I organize my design files. It's not the way to do it. It's just my way of doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I do lots of videos about design and development and the occasional nerdy thing like this. So maybe stick around. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. I hope you're designing amazing things. Hope you're making amazing things. And I hope you're keeping everything organized. I'll see you in the next one.